As 26 National Football League teams took the field for the start of the 1971 season, their world floated adrift on the winds of change. The catalyst for the game's evolution to its present form has been defense. As modern professional defenses have been redressed and refined, elements of offense have been suppressed. But while stronger defenses have detoured certain scoring lanes, at the same time they have opened new avenues of attack. The teams that best traveled these new highways ultimately achieved the greatest success during the 1971 season. Defense. For every action, a reaction. Every move, a counter move. Possession was no longer 9/10 of the law as modern defenses claimed their right to the ball. How to overcome the swelling success of the new defenses? Several teams clung to the adage that the best offense was indeed a good defense. In mid-Arctic Minnesota, the NFC's leading defense created 61 turnovers and could score nearly as often as their offense. Viking defensemen are so storied that in 1971, Alan Page, number 88, became the first defenseman ever named the league's outstanding player. Viking defense led Minnesota to the playoffs for the 4th consecutive season. Riding an offensive defense, the Atlanta Falcons soared to their first winning season ever. Number 27, Tom Hayes, scored 3 touchdowns, all while playing defense. On consecutive Sundays, Hayes scored with blocked punts and later in the season traveled 60 yards with a fumble. In Houston, safety Ken Houston, number 29, scored 5 times. His 2 interceptions for scores versus San Diego tied an NFL mark, and his 4 in one season and 9 lifetime tallies are NFL records. Defensive genius George Allen was named head coach in Washington. And under his guidance, the Redskin defense finally lent support to its explosive offense. In 1971, the Redskin defense was the league's 4th best, the NFL leader in interceptions, and largely responsible for Washington's first playoff season in 25 years. While Allen built his defense with veterans, new Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia saw a youth movement as the Eagles' last 4 number 1 draft picks are now starters on defense. But a number 3 pick, Bill Bradley, number 28, made the most noise as he led the league in interceptions with 11. With new head coach Ed Kayat and a resurgent defense, the Eagles flew to a 6-2-1 record in their last 9 games. In Baltimore, the league's best defense led the Colts into the playoffs and made their zone defense legend. The zone puts pressure on the linebackers, but Ray May, Mike Curtis, and Ted Hendricks, backed in the secondary by All-Pros Rick Volk and Jerry Logan, make the zone work. The Colt defensive line gave up only 80 yards rushing per game, allowing the Colt linebackers to drop back in the middle range, freeing the secondary to watch for the bomb. With all areas covered, there are plenty of Colts around for a rebound. The Colt zone allowed only 9 touchdown passes in 1971 and was the model that many teams followed. The Baltimore Colts zone defense and its offspring have caused many changes in offensive strategy. The zone was designed to eliminate the quick strike, the long one. Though teams can still explode the bomb, more and more they have had to find new ways of launching it, adding, not detracting from the game's excitement. The big yardage pass play is now the result of the most elementary of athletic contests, the foot race. The big yardage pass play is now the result of Superman effort, where one man overcomes impossible odds. The best way to beat the zone was not to throw into it at all, and 1971 was the year of the running back, as the ball possession gut-running drive returned to the game. In 1971, 5 men cracked the 1,000-yard barrier. In Denver, where the fans were number 1, Floyd Little, number 44, was also number 1 as he gained over 1,100 yards to lead the NFL in rushing. In 1972, Little will be playing for a new head coach, John Ralston, the 4th college coach to enter the NFL since 1970. The first was Tommy Prothro, who in his first season nearly led the Rams to the playoffs. With a bevy of talented runners, the Rams gained nearly 5 yards per rush to lead the NFC. And Willie Ellison, number 33, gained 1,000 yards, getting 1/4 of that in one game. Ellison's 247 yards versus the Saints established a new NFL mark for yards rushing in one game. Another former college coach, Dan Devine, had a 1,000-yard runner in Green Bay. Number 42, John Brockington, became the first rookie running back to gain over 1,000 yards rushing. Brockington's selection as the NFC's Offensive Rookie of the Year was an easy one, for he had led his conference in rushing. In Detroit, Steve Owens, number 36, rocked and socked his way for more than 1,000 yards and helped make the Lions the NFC's leading rushing team. In Cincinnati, there were no 1,000-yard runners, but of those running backs who gained over 500 yards rushing, only Essex Johnson, number 19, averaged over 6 yards a carry. The leading rushing team in the NFL was the Miami Dolphins. Larry Zonka and Jim Kick put them there. Zonka, number 39, gained over 1,000 yards, averaged over 5 yards a carry, and was nearly unstoppable at the goal line. Kick, number 21, is the only man to rank in the top 15 in both receptions and rushing yardage over the past 2 seasons. Miami handkerchief salutes were also for quarterback Bob Greasy, the AFC's leading passer and most valuable player. They saluted Paul Warfield, number 42, who led the league with 11 touchdown catches. Miami needed and used all their firepower to overcome the Chiefs in their first-round playoff game. Seven and a half minutes into the second overtime period, Zonka set up a field goal try by Garo Yepremian, the NFL's leading scorer in 1971. Yepremian's 37-yard field goal ended the longest professional football game ever played and sent Miami to the AFC Championship game. In Miami, the Dolphins moved a step closer to the gold at the end of the rainbow by shutting out the Colts and ending their reign as NFL champions. In Detroit, Lion power took a different shape. Greg Landry, number 11, became the leading member of the new fraternity of running quarterbacks. In 1971, Landry gained 530 yards to establish an NFL record for yards gained rushing by a quarterback. Pittsburgh's Terry Bradshaw became more valuable to his team by developing as a runner, and he gained more yardage than any quarterback in his conference. Chicago's Bobby Douglas, number 10, averaged over 7 yards per carry, and his running carried the Bears to upsets of Detroit, Dallas, and Washington. In midstream 1970, J.D. Roberts became head coach in New Orleans. In 1971, the Saints drafted Archie Manning. In his first game, Manning's last play touchdown upset the Rams. And 4 weeks later, his 2 scores shocked Super Bowl champion Dallas. A similar story unfolded in New Schaefer Stadium, where John Mazer started his first full season as head coach of the New England Patriots. In 1970, the Patriots won one game and the right to draft Heisman Trophy winner Jim Plunkett. At 6'4", 220 pounds, he was big enough to run, but it was his arm that brought him instant success. In his first game, Plunkett threw 2 touchdown passes and led the Pats to an upset of the Raiders. Then Plunkett and his former college catcher at Stanford, Tiny Randy Vataha, number 18, pulled 2 more shockers. First, they combined for 2 scores in a win over Super Bowl-bound Miami. Then on closing day, they teamed for 2 more touchdowns, including an 88-yarder. Plunkett's 19th touchdown pass, Vataha's 9th touchdown reception, and another incredible upset, this time over the 1970 NFL champion Baltimore Colts. In 1971, the extensive use of the zone defense made it increasingly difficult to set up one-on-one coverage where the odds were with the receiver. Still, several teams found ways to accomplish it. In Kansas City, rookie Elmo Wright, number 17, teamed with longtime big play receiver Otis Taylor, number 89. Facing 2 deep threats, the defense could not key on either, and each man averaged over 20 yards a catch. Taylor was the NFL yardage champ and the only receiver to gain over 1,000 yards. And he and Wright did enough touchdowns celebrating to lead the Chiefs to the AFC West crown. In Oakland, Fred Biletnikoff, number 25, was the NFL's leading pass receiver by using precise patterns that took him to the cracks in the zone. Across the bay in San Francisco, Gene Washington, number 18, was the NFC yardage king and one of pro football's most exciting pass receivers. Washington could get free outside because tight end Ted Kwolek, number 82, kept the defense busy in the middle. In 1971, Kwolek and other tight ends grew to stardom by exploiting the one weakness of the zone defense, the seam between the linebackers and defensive backs. The tight end of the 70s is the man who can catch a ball in a crowd just before the edges of the zone snap shut around him. Some teams were so successful that in Yankee Stadium, Bob Tucker, number 38, became the first tight end to lead his conference in pass reception. Many of his receptions were short pops as the Giants and other teams used the tight end as their clutch first down maker. Though the Lions' Charlie Sanders, number 88, caught just 31 passes, he was the NFL's all-pro tight end. Sanders completely filled the bill as the critical catch receiver. In New Texas Stadium, the Dallas Cowboys had all the new offensive forces, and they parlayed them into a Super Bowl championship. Roger Staubach, number 12, was the NFL's leading passer in 1971, but he was even more valuable because he could run, averaging over 8 yards every time he did. Dallas had 3 fine running backs in Walt Garrison, Calvin Hill, and Dwayne Thomas. Thomas, number 33, led the league in touchdowns by rushing with 11. The Dallas tight end position, split between Billy Truax, number 87, and Mike Ditka, number 89, contributed 45 catches. They opened the long lanes for wide receivers Lance Allworth, number 19, and Bob Hayes, number 22, the NFC's leading touchdown catcher with 8. The eyes of Texas also gazed on one of the league's top defenses. 10-year All-Pro Bob Lilly, number 74, and a ball-hawking supporting cast helped put Dallas in the Super Bowl. With the NFL's best balance of defense and offense, the Cowboys headed for the one thing that had always eluded them, a Super Bowl championship. In quest of their first NFL championship and facing the Miami Dolphins, the Cowboys played a perfect football game. On defense, they stopped Kick and Zonka. They harried Greasy, shut down Warfield, and yielded just 3 points. On offense, the Cowboys used every one of their attack elements. The Dallas runners established a new Super Bowl rushing record. Staubach passed with his league-leading form, hitting wide receiver Allworth for 1 score and tight end Ditka for a second as the Cowboys swamped the Dolphins 24-3. 6 consecutive playoff seasons had proven the Cowboys' ability to remodel and refine. They used that ability to conquer a season of change and were the 1971 National Football League champions.
In sun-spangled New Orleans, Super Bowl VI unfolded in a panorama of pageantry. This brilliant backdrop was spiced by a surprise arrival, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins were born in expansion, and during their first 4 years, they sought only respectability. Now, after 2 seasons under Don Shula, they were saluted as champions of the AFC. They had arrived at pro football's most important moment. And in the carnival atmosphere of Super Bowl VI, the Dolphins would celebrate the joy of an incredible season. While the Dolphins rode an emotional crest, their opponents readied themselves with somber resolve. For even in the midst of sunny celebration, the Dallas Cowboys were haunted by a troublesome past. A past one man felt more keenly than anyone else. In 1960, bright young Tom Landry was called to Dallas and given an expansion team. The Cowboys did not win a game in their first 12 tries. "I'll build a winner from the ground up," said Landry, and with draft choices like TCU's Bob Lilly, the ragtag look of expansion began to give way to order. In '61, they won their first game. In '63, they became competitive. In '65, they challenged for a division title, and in '66, they won it. They were ready to match dynasties with the Green Bay Packers in 2 successive championship games. The final play of both games shaped the course of pro football in the '60s. Green Bay, a winner, Dallas, a loser. Next, the Cleveland Browns would foil 2 Cowboy seasons with crushing playoff victories, sparked by a brilliant young wide receiver named Paul Warfield. In 1970, Dallas finally reached the Super Bowl, only to have the Baltimore Colts deliver another last-second defeat. 5 consecutive division championships, 5 consecutive failures. They were labeled loser, a team with a Roman appetite for victory without the Spartan will to sacrifice for it. The Cowboys listened to the labels as they began to doubt themselves, and so a team with 61 wins in 6 years became best known for its defeats. In Super Bowl VI, Dallas was determined to conquer its past as well as the Dolphins. The match was set. 2 teams up from expansion. One bred in the NFL, the other with its roots in the AFL. 2 teams which had never met. One out to earn the title of champion, the other trying to shed the label of loser. Super Bowl VI matched 2 coaching philosophies: Tom Landry's multiple offense, Don Shula's basic ball control. Over the years, the precision of the Cowboy offense has not altered. But in 1971, the synchro mesh of the Dallas attack added some salty dog, the Dodger, Roger Staubach. The scramble is not Tom Landry's favorite play, but Staubach had successfully used the tactic in 9 straight victories since being named starting quarterback. Today, Staubach's shoulder shaking would lead him down a dead-end alley of Dolphins. In the first quarter, Staubach left the pocket 5 times and lost a total of 9 yards. While Dallas searched for its game legs, Miami came out ready to roll. At quarterback, Shula had reformed scrambler Bob Greasy, now disciplined to direct a basic ground game with Larry Zonka and 21 Jim Kick, a matched set of power backs. Early in the game, one play personified Shula's method. Kick cut down the backer. Guard Larry Little blew out the corner. Zonka shed a tackle, and Miami became the first team to cross the 50. Larry Zonka fumbled for the first time in 238 carries, and a moment of early Dolphin advantage passed to the Cowboys. the young Dolphin defense turned to its leader, Nick Bonacante. Starbuck returned with a plan to strike at this Miami nerve center to gain control of Bonacante's middle area. The implement of attack was a running game designed to start flow one way, then send the ball carrier cutting sharply back against the grave. Trapped out of position and blocked on every play, Bonacante saw control of the middle slipping through his fingers as Dallas running backs began to probe the heart of the Dolphin defense. The Dolphins finally held, and Dallas settled for a Mike Clark chip shot and a 3-0 first quarter lead. A Miami mistake had been converted into a Dallas score. One game plan had faltered. Another was beginning to assert itself. The shadowy shapes of Cowboy past haunted Landry. A symbol of Dallas defeat had returned wearing aqua. To end the Paul Warfield curse, Landry dispatched number 34, Cornell Green, to follow every movement, to track him from sideline to sideline and cut off every inside route. With Green blanketing inside, cornerback Mel Renfro could drop outside. Smothered inside out, Warfield began to feel pressure where there was none. To stop the Dolphin ground game, Landry turned to another source. Bob Lilly had shared every nightmare the Cowboy passed. Now he set out to rid himself of the memory. Lilly, the intimidator, breaking down Miami's plan of control and then pursuing it into all-out retreat. In the heat of the moment, ex-scrambler Bob Greasy had reverted to his old wild ways. Greasy's 29-yard loss was a dramatic evidence of the trend of Cowboy domination, but a less obvious pattern of control was being established along the front lines. Liscio, Nyland, Manders, Nye, and Wright. The Cowboy offensive line, a machine well-oiled with experience, now held sway in the trenches. With clockwork precision, holes were pried open, and Walt Garrison popped through. The rugged kinship of Garrison and the offensive line softened Miami resistance. Now Starbuck could rest easy in the pocket and strike up a passing attack. Still, something was missing, and for that something, Starbuck needed to look no further than his own huddle. Number 19, Lance Allworth, was ready, but he had spent a frustrating first quarter running roughshod through the Dolphin zone while Starbuck scrambled. He took his problem to the proper authority. And when the Dallas ground game stalled, the magical hands of Lance Allworth were ready. For a decade, the feats of this man have been legend, but now he was about to make what he would call later the two most important catches of his career. On Allworth's first catch, he once again wove his way to the open area of the zone. On the second, his quick feet tapped out touchdown. A super receiver had finally found a fitting showcase for his skills. Allworth's touchdown gave Dallas a 10-0 lead with less than 2 minutes remaining. Warfield finally sifted through his escort to put the Dolphins within range at the Dallas 24. But Miami touchdown hopes fell harmlessly off Warfield's chest. A replay demonstrates why. Warfield broke free behind Green, but the Dallas safety reacted back to deflect the ball. Time was short, and Miami called on its tiny Cypriot hero, Garo Yepremian, to salvage 3 points. Miami had demonstrated its quick striking capabilities, and in a half dominated by Dallas, the Dolphins left the field still in contention 10-3. The second half opened with tactical maneuvers on both sides. Shula and Bonaconte discussed means to seal the middle, while Landry planned counteraction. Miami sensed the importance of this first series. Hold or be swallowed up. Bonaconte rooted in and tackled Manny Fernandez stacked over center. The shocked Dolphins watched Dallas fly outside. The flanks opened, and Dwayne Thomas flowed into the secondary. When Miami scrambled to adjust, Landry sent in a fake pitch flanker reverse, and Bob Hayes flashed for 16 more yards. Then back to Thomas to weave his way home. "71 yards in 8 plays, 7 of them sweeps, and the stunned Dolphins were suddenly down 17-3. The quick Cowboy success was accepted without celebration. Still half a game remained, and Dallas had been guilty before of accepting victory too quickly. Veterans remembered other games seemingly won, only to be lost. This time, they would not rest until they had thrown off the demon of defeat. Thomas, Garrison, Calvin Hill, and the offensive line plundered the Dolphins for a Super Bowl record 252 yards rushing, and Staubach settled into his role of captain with easy confidence. But each time Staubach reached back to put Miami away for good, the staggering Dolphins would hold on by a fingertip. Every time it was cornered, the scruffy, no-name defense would hold its own, then lash back. The Cowboy offense controlled the game but could not put it away. Dolphin fate lay in the hands of a defense called Doomsday. Doomsday measured Miami for defeat. With all its tools of victory depleted, the hour had grown late, very late for Miami. And now Doomsday would end the dream for good, with another veteran of past failure, Chuck Howley, accepting the honors. In every season since 1966, Tom Landry had watched his team lose the one game that really mattered. Now he looked on as his Dallas Cowboys finally sealed sweet victory. Dallas led 24-3. And for the first time in their history, the crown fit. The hour had grown late, and the joyous trumpet blasts of Miami's arrival were now silent. The bright orange balloon of Miami's season had descended. The high crest of emotion now shrunken hard in the cold afternoon sun. But a memory remained, the image of a remarkable season put together by an unlikely team. The Dolphins were determined to have one last moment. Miami's last drive ended as had its first, and the domination was complete. In the gloom of the moment, the Dolphins could not be consoled. But a real triumph remained. They had come so far, so fast, and they would get another chance. Dallas had needed 6.
We're champions, #1. Dallas Cowboys. Hey, Bob, who got that ball?
Well, he fumbled, then I hit it.
It hit his slide.
Yeah, he fumbled it, and then whenever he went to get it, I hit it with my hand.
What a time to get it. Just think, those people that had those white handkerchiefs waiting before we came out, I think they're going to use them to dry their eyes now. Look at them. Dry your eyes and weep. We're #1.
Hey, let's get better now. We'll improve out here next couple series. Let's go.
Yeah, we're in good shape now. All we have to do now is just hold the ball.
Yeah, that we got one solid quarter running tough, baby. Running tough. Ready? Set. Hutchie, hutchie, hutchie. All right, Mike Ditka. All right. Ditka's catching the ball, but he can't hold on to his shoe now.
Big Mike, all right, Big Mike.
Get that shoe on, get back in there.
Did we get enough?
Looks like it.
First down, dynamite.
Get back in there.
Go, Cal. Turn it up. Go, Cal.
Run, baby, run!
What a shot. Get up, Calvin. Get up, Calvin, and run harder, baby. Whoa, he's a little bull. Look at him. Come on, official, late hit. You know it was a late hit. Don't hit him, Calvin. Don't hit him. You're too big. Gotta be cool. You gotta be cool. What?
Get in there, get in there, get in there.
Take it in. Woo!
God, dog it every time he goes up in the air, he loses the ball. Stay on your feet. Dog. Got it?
That's okay. A fumble doesn't hurt us. We got the game.
Hey, Walt. Wow, man, what happened?
My tongue.
Your tongue? I guess you realize now this is a pretty rough game. Or either that or you just keep your tongue in your mouth.
All right.
Ooh, man.
Finally. Oh. What do you think, Coach? I think it's pretty nice. Congratulations. I'm really happy.
Hurry up, Mike! We're finally number one. All right. Let's go, boy. Number one.
The Dallas Cowboys accepted their championship, not with a wild scream of triumph, but with an easy sigh of relief. 12 years separated Tom Landry from his first dream to its realization, and in the end, the long, hard road made the final destination seem all the sweeter.
This NFL Films production has been brought to you by the National Football League. The NFL is online at www.nfl.com.